We only bloody did it.
It's a celebration.
Yes, I am still a little bit in shock, but here we are. Team VVVIP has grown to an amazing 100,000 subscribers since that incredibly cringeworthy first video where I introduced myself with my full name to 0 subscribers.
Here goes. Welcome to Life in Taiwan with me, Alan Cook.
We have grown this awesome little community to a number that I thought I would never see, 100,000, and I am absolutely speechless. Well, probably speechless isn't a good word for a YouTuber, wouldn't make a great video, but I'm absolutely over the moon, cannot believe it. And although I know 100,000 subscribers has been done many dozens, hundreds of times before by YouTubers here in Taiwan, I am absolutely astounded. And I know some other YouTubers kind of gloss over the fact that they reach 100,000 as maybe they have a bigger goal in mind. For me, this is absolutely huge. And just to link a little to the title of the video, it has 100% changed my life. And before we get into discussing the main question in today's video's title, I want to say an absolutely massive thank you to all of the other Taiwanese YouTubers that I've worked with over the past year, and of course thanks to their subscribers. Thanks to Logan, Dom, Ufong, Jesus, Amax, Prozzy, Guanxi Media, Lucas Engstrom. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks to my favorite co-host, my big boy William, for his help in growing the channel. Thanks to my sponsors that have helped the channel financially. That's A-Data, Cambly, and Hopes Taiwan. Really appreciate your support. And of course, a huge thanks to my patrons over on Patreon for your unending support. But of course, the biggest thanks must go to you, my loyal team, VVVIP, every single one of the 101,000 or whatever it is now, for liking, sharing, subscribing. I'm genuinely grateful. It wouldn't have happened without every single one of you. And genuinely, every single person has earned a special place in my heart in some way. 真的感谢大家. But anyway, onwards and upwards. And of course, we're not going to just stop there. We still have videos to make. And of course, I'll be fulfilling my promise to climb Jade Mountain as and when the time is right. I've already been in touch with a tour company that's going to help me arrange everything and get me and you to the top of that mountain. Look out for that in the future. But I think that's enough of a thank you, as just because we've hit 100K doesn't mean we stop making videos. So let's get straight into today's question and start discussing how Taiwan has directly impacted upon me and how this beautiful country and its people have changed me as a person over the past 10 years. But first, the facts, the raw data. I came here in 2008 when I was just 25, very fresh-faced, with a girlfriend, and I weighed a healthy 80 kilos. And we were just coming here for 1 year in order to give us some time to sort out her visa in order that she could enter the UK and we could begin a life there. But basically, I was a stereotypical run-of-the-mill 25-year-old British guy with not much to worry about and not much to be responsible for. Cut to 2019 and the raw data has changed somewhat. I'm 36, got married, had a son, kept the baby weight, and now tipped the scales at a relatively large 3 figures, and of course now have much more than just myself to worry about. But that's just the basic info, the raw data, and doesn't really portray any of the personality characteristics or traits that have evolved within me, and there are plenty of those. So the first thing I want to talk about that has changed regarding my personality is my patience level. I am way much more laid back than I was 11 years ago when I arrived, and that's not just because of getting older. I really feel living in this culture has had a strong effect on me, and now I take everything way much easier. As I mentioned when I arrived, I was your stereotypical 25-year-old British guy And with that comes a certain level of stubbornness and arrogance. Some might say that everything should be perfect, and if it wasn't, then I would sometimes lose my temper in trying to get it fixed. My first few years of living here in Taiwan were absolutely full of this kind of feeling. I would often lose my temper, argue with my girlfriend, and could be considered somewhat of a at times. But the culture here in Taiwan just doesn't allow for that. Of course, yes, people get frustrated and lose their temper, but because of the culture, they'll tend to do it in a more subtle way in order to show everybody that they're angry, but without, and very importantly, without losing face. I have learned a lot from watching Taiwanese people act in this way, and therefore nowadays I'm much more better at just accepting what will be, and not losing my temper or indeed losing face in public when things don't go my way. If there is something I don't like about what's happening, then I'll try to fix it in a more controlled, more Taiwanese manner. Sometimes it works, and of course, sometimes it doesn't. But as I mentioned, much more laid back now after 10 years in this culture. So c'est la vie. And on to the next characteristic of my personality that has drastically changed since moving here, and that is definitely that I have become much more accepting of people different to myself. I was always a pretty liberal individual anyway when I lived back in the UK, and my belief has always been that if what you are doing or what you want to do doesn't impact on anybody or hurt or harm them in any way, then go ahead, fill your boots and enjoy yourself. But living here in such an emphatically different culture to the one in which I grew up in has definitely opened my eyes wide to the abundance and difference and variety that there is in this world, and that we shouldn't always necessarily believe that the traditions and customs that we were surrounded with as we grew up are necessarily the correct ones. As I've mentioned in many previous videos, Taiwan is not such a multicultural country yet. Taiwan is still very Taiwanese. Therefore, as a foreigner living here, I am exposed to these very strong traditions and customs, and certainly have to go along with it and not just dismiss them all as being wrong. I'm sure that if I'd stayed in England, my mind wouldn't be so open as it is now. And for example, as a staunch, non-religious kind of guy, I used to argue with anybody that put all their faith into God of any kind. But now here in Taiwan, I find myself listening attentively when somebody tells me that the success of their business comes from the way that the wooden moons fell in the temple, or that the only reason they feel so healthy is because they bye-bye every day and offer up foods to their ancestors. Just anecdotal examples, of course, but real, true examples that demonstrate exactly how Taiwan has made me so much more. But real, genuine examples of how Taiwan has made me much more accepting of those different to myself. So that, along with the first change, are definitely two positive changes in my opinion. But the third and final change I'm going to talk about isn't as positive, but it is a little bit fun. And it isn't as much about how Taiwan has changed me as a person, but more about how my job here in Taiwan as a teacher of English as a second language has changed me and the way I speak. I know I've mentioned my accent many times before and even made a full video about it that you can watch right up here. And of course, everybody loves the way I say Taiwan.
Taiwan.
But that's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm going to talk about is the way that I use gesticulations and body language in order to tell a story. And just to give you an example, when I was in England recently, just last year, I was telling my dad a story and it went something like this. There were 6 of us going camping and we were driving on the number 4 freeway when a helicopter flew over the top of us. And my dad's face was looking at me like, he's like, I know what a helicopter is, I know what driving is. But now when telling a story, because I'm usually doing it to a group of elementary school kids with limited knowledge of English, I use these body language, signs and gesticulations to help them understand my story. It seems to work for the kids and they follow my stories, and most importantly, they laugh when they're supposed to, which is most important for me. But now I've also sort of transferred it into my daily conversation, even when talking with native speakers and my family back home. And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only English teacher here to have this problem. So if you're also in my shoes and have the same or similar feelings to me, then let me know about it in the comment section. In fact, if you agree or disagree or have anything at all to say about today's video, then please enjoy the comment section, use it to its potential, and let's have a chat. But as for now, I'm going to end this video, say my tatty byes, and once again come back to thanking every single one of you for getting us up to 100,000 subscribers and coming on this exciting YouTube adventure with me. I know I'm not for everybody, and I certainly have my haters, but with 100,000 supporters just like you, I feel truly honored and privileged to be in such a lucky position. But before I get all lovey-dovey and start whinging again, I'm gonna say goodbye now. Thanks so much for watching. Continue to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you next time in my life in Taiwan. Peace.